All right, this is the part 2. Go on, carry on.
Okay, I was telling you that here in Pasto we have a carnival, a big festival. Es como el Carnaval de Rio de Janeiro, but it's here in Pasto, in Colombia. It's well known. It's very famous. It's
Really?
very famous.
What is the name?
Called El Carnaval de Blancos y Negros.
Oh.
So English would be the Black and Whites Carnival, or Carnival of black and white people.
But in
Which
Pastos?
means that in Pasto City, it takes place from December 3rd.
December.
1, maybe December to January 7. So it's like
Really?
like a week. It's more like a week, really.
Oh.
And it's really famous. I don't know.
No, I never heard. No.
You can Google it, and it's quite
Oh, well.
famous. It's very famous. It's one of the most famous carnival here in Colombia, together with in Barranquilla. You know Barranquilla. It's in the other part of the country, in the Atlantic coast, in the Caribbean. They have another carnival, which is El Carnaval de Barranquilla.
Do they dress in a different way?
Yeah. They dress different. They dance in a different way. But here, Pasto is more about the Andes, the Andina. You know the Andes mountains
All right.
that go from Argentina to Colombia and Venezuela. Here is more about all the Andina culture. There's Andina music. I think I shared with you some type of Andina music the other day. Yeah.
That one was about this.
Yeah. No, it's not about that, but it's more about in that sense that here we celebrate. It's called Carnaval de Blancos y Negros, or Carnaval of Black and Whites, because we celebrate the diversity between races, like black people, indigenous people, white people, and it's very famous. And there are different activities. There are big, how do you say, carrozas like carroza is like in a car you have a big sculpture, and that represents something. So maybe I'm going to share with you a link. Yeah, but it's more about here the tradition of indigenous people and the mix between indigenous, black people and white people here in this part of the region. So this is a Carnaval of Blancos y Negros in Pasto Nariño. Quite famous.
But do you hear stories about how different it is, the movement, the people, how they feel the culture and how they enjoy the event? Because before we started, I was about to watch a Japanese video about one guy that he always interview different people in Japan. And it's a new video. I think there's just maybe 3 days, and he was interviewing the old people in Japan to know what they think about how different it is Japan nowadays, about the new generation, the old generation, but a lot of not compliment, sorry, different, what is the word, I forgot the word. It is a lot of the opposite of compliment. It is complaining. They were complaining a lot about classic one, how the new generation are so impulsive. They are not interested in studies, respect, learn about the past, empathy as well. So, and how Japan is becoming something different, but not just about Japan. You see, if you take a look in other cities and countries, we have the same story. Brazil, here is the same story. What about Colombia?
Yeah.
Like this event, the same thing.
I think it happened all over the world.
What do you hear over there? What do you hear over there? And what do you hear and what do you feel?
About new generations and how they see traditions and things like that.
Yeah, but not just new generation, because there are some people that they got old, but there is a lack of knowledge about themselves. So it's maturity. So the things that's just not just about the new generation. It's also about people that they got old, but they forgot to have different experience, to read, to to learn more about, to be aware about who they are, which is not easy. It takes time.
Again, it gets worse. The younger you are, it gets worse. It get worse. Sorry, because for example, now with the cell phones, with technology, it's very easy to get distracted. So for new, not only as you said for new generations, but for old generation, it's also true. But for new generations, it's really easy to get lost in the technology, and I think it plays a huge role in that.
But which way?
Now,
Which way?
Because you can get disconnected with your own culture and you start watching things about other places, or you can. It's more important to the fashion, what other people are seeing, than to care about your own roots, your own. For example, especially in music, I heard that people here, especially new generation, they get embarrassed listening to music from farmers or from traditional music. There are people, indigenous people, or farmers, or people cultivate the soil that make music, that make traditional music.
Why do you think this happens? Why do you think?
Probably they prefer to listen to things in English, for example. They get embarrassed. They say, no, that's not cool. This is not cool. I prefer this other culture, this global culture, the culture of Facebook, the culture of YouTube that shows cool things, not my own culture. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a complex subject, man, because also maybe they don't like it, and they just see that that there is something different and better in the other culture. But the problem it's that you just forget about your own culture, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Some people, I don't say all the people, but
For
some
sure.
people
For
prefer
sure. We cannot
to listen.
say that
listen
it's
to,
everyone.
And it's too easy, especially sometimes with me, for example, like maybe it's easy to go to YouTube and see what is happening in the United States, what is happening in the UK, and something. I have a friend from the US. I've been talking with her. Probably the same time I met you, I met her. She's from
Good.
from Chicago.
Did you realize what you did?
I didn't realize.
No, but it was difficult. It's not saying that it's just you who can make this kind of mistakes, but me as well. If I got the other video that I was talking the other day, I noticed that I made some mistakes. But you pronounce like hair, something like this, and then this, and then a second after some seconds, you got the pronunciation of her. You got the right pronunciation, her, and then it was good. So you correct yourself in a matter of seconds. Was pretty good.
Yeah, because it's quite difficult because we don't have that sound in Spanish.
Yeah.
We only have high vowels. Maybe I think Portuguese. You are lucky because you have more.
But it depends on the region.
Yeah, but we only have one A, and one E, O, U. So yeah, it's in English there are like 12 vowels. So it's yeah. But thanks. I always try to pay attention to these things. But when you start talking, you are like in a state of, I don't know. You're just talking for the sake of it. And you don't pay attention the way you advise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the girl?
I was telling you that this girl, she used to, or she sometimes she talked to me and she said, this thing that happened in Colombia, I see in the news, TV news, that this thing is happening in Colombia, and I say I don't know that. Sometimes because I'm trying to learn something about other country or news about other, because I want to improve another language and I don't pay attention to the problems of my own
it's
country.
a problem. Yeah,
that happened to me all the time.
To me as well, for sure.
How and she told me, how do you how how you don't know that? How I don't know how to say that. Why don't you know? Why don't you know this thing that it's so important in your country?
Yeah.
But sometimes I get disconnected with the TV news and I don't know what is happening right now.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not good, you know. Sometimes it doesn't worth to know. Of course, there are some things that are quite important to know, but sometimes it doesn't make any difference. Depends on the subject. Depends on, you know. Sometimes it's full of information all the time, every single second. So sometimes you just need to chill out and see another thing for another culture. One thing that I don't like it sometimes is that, you know, in Brazil we have this kind of thing. If you listen too much, you know, soul music, some Afro North American music, and then sometimes people say, "Oh, you're not Brazilian. You are a kind of American guy," you know. So to me, this is in a way it's bullshit because I don't need to be so patriotic like in United States of America. Like if I want to be, if this year I can be much more Japanese and Chinese than last year, especially because I work with language. So last year I was much more Deutsch and or French guy. So I'm not exactly black. I can be black, white, pinky, gray. I don't like to be. I need to be one thing. I need to. You know, there is a name. So I can be all colors. I can be all kind of musics. I can be all
as I say, maybe
countries.
the word it's a citizen of the world. I think it's a trend now.
Yeah,
It's
there is
maybe
this. Yeah, but there are some
you are
people
a
that are.
citizen of the world.
Yeah, but what I like about this kind of statement maybe it's that there are some people that they are traveling every year, but they are not exactly talking to the people. They are not exactly having a real experience. They're just traveling, taking pictures. Sometimes they talk with some guys,
The
but
touristing.
yeah, but to understand people, we need to do something like this. What are we doing right now? You need to talk with the people, so you need to in order to get that you need in order to get that you need to learn the language at least to get inside. Nelson Mandela said this. I don't know if you saw the video the other day, right? If you have this strong connection with one person, you need to talk with the language of the people. Otherwise, you're not going to get this connection. So it was, despite the fact that Nelson Mandela had some problems, there are some positive things and some bad things. It's not just about positive things, but the idea, the cult, it's pretty good. I like it. And it's not about the language.
Yeah, it's like I remember that it was like if you speak to another person in their second language, you speak to his brain.
Yeah,
you speak
that's
in,
it.
in his native
And then
language.
their heart
You
goes
speak to
direct
his
to their heart.
So
Yeah.
it's a powerful statement, right?
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful poem. So probably I'm gonna learn português porque así
It's good.
podría hablar a tu corazón.
É bom, e é exatamente, tem uma ligação, né,
Claro.
com o idioma.
Esa es una de mis tareas pendientes en mi to-do list, como dicen en inglés, my to-do list.
Yeah.
Mis cosas por hacer es aprender otro idioma y creo que el portugués es una buena opción.
Mas deixa eu tentar exemplificar, contextualizar um pouco mais ainda. Se eu vou para o seu país e eu vou para a sua cidade em Pasto, e aí eu começo a aprender com você ou com a internet sobre Pasto, é a mesma coisa de pegar no coração. Porque eu estou tomando o banho da cidade, da cultura, da dor das pessoas, de compreender as pessoas. So, in a way, this is just like learning the language. The language, it's like it's not this cult. It's not about exactly the language, but it's a way to get a little bit closer to you. So and then you ask, oh, what is happening here? What do you don't like it? Oh, what makes you happy? What makes you sad? So and then you go, closer to the people and to understand something that is unique. It is unique. There's no other Nelson. They're similar.
No es solo el idioma, es la persona y es la cultura.
Yeah, it's a reflection. The language.
Cuando aprendes un idioma, un lenguaje, no solamente aprendes el idioma, porque el idioma no puedes despegar el idioma de la cultura. Do you think you can separate language from culture, or it's mixed all together?
Yeah, to separate the language, when you go to the language, you need, well, they speak like this, why they speak like this, why they feel like this, the structure, why the structure is like this. The structure, also there's a connection with the behavior. So the language, the sounds, the way they create the sounds, there is a connection with behavior.
Algunas veces conectas mucho más con unas personas, con unos sonidos que con otros. Por ejemplo, me he dado cuenta que tú hablas te gusta el español europeo, el español de España.
Pero esto es porque el sonido me encanta y también tiene la parte de este sonido de corazón, de hacer este movimiento con la lengua, entonces esto me encanta. Pero, bueno, hay una parte muy fuerte con los sonidos que me encanta mucho, pero las personas, no sé, las personas pueden ser una otra cosa, pero sí, esta parte es más fuerte, la conexión con los sonidos, entonces por esto yo creo que hablo como así.
Claro, ¿qué opinas del portugués de Portugal, el portugués europeo? ¿Es diferente del portugués de Brasil o es exactamente igual?
No, es distinto, porque no português tem várias palavras que são diferentes, palavras diferentes com significados diferentes, e tem aquela coisa de estou a fazer. Em português we say eu vou fazer, eu vou fazer. Essa coisa do presente contínuo que é diferente, né? Eu vou a ser, eu estou a fazer o dever de casa. In Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, we say eu vou fazer. But one thing that, if I'm not wrong, in Portugal, there are some different ways to use this structure. Like it's not the whole country that they talk like this, with no gerund. Estou a fazer, there is no gerund. You know the ing. Em português, eu estou fazendo, indo, falando, ando.
So, ando, like in Spanish.
Yeah, estou a falar com você.
Do you watch YouTube or people or YouTubers from Portugal, that speaks Portuguese from Europe? In my case, I watch a lot of videos from. One of my favorite YouTubers are musicians from Spain, from Europe. I don't know if it's the same with you, or you don't consume or you don't watch stuff. Or it's different.
Japanese, a lot Japanese. Nowadays, a lot of Chinese, Japanese.
But what about Portuguese? Do you watch
Portuguese? No.
Portuguese from Portugal?
From Portugal, no. It's difficult to. Maybe I there was a time that I met a guy. We have a kind of discussion about. It was interesting, but not really good. But then we were talking about this because he plays here. Because here in the island there is this culture, there is a connection with Portugal too, the music. But he was playing a group that I can't remember the name now, the style, but it was music from Portugal. But was another subject. The subject was that if you want to learn like how to play music from Portugal, you need to go to Portugal. So if you want to play flamenco, you need to go to Spain and meet the real guy from Spain. So if you want to learn French, you need to have a French teacher, and then I disagree. Of course, I disagree. So I talked about this yesterday because I had a teacher. His name is Ryan, but he was a native from North Carolina, but he was not a teacher. There's a lot of people that they come to Brazil to work as a teacher, but they are not a teacher. They are just native, that they speak the language. Of course they are able to speak the language, but they don't know the techniques, they don't know the approach, they not even know how to read, to do a reinterpretation. So this was my example. The guy got this, the guy got a text. there was a kind of a text. My other teacher did this, and the teacher that he was much more experienced than this guy got a text to him, and he needed to read. So when he read, and then it was recorded, and then I listened. The way he was reading, man, he was reading in a way that was like a child reading. Like, let's suppose that the text was like just like the text that I sent to you the other day that you had to explain different ways. Remember that?
Yeah.
So the guy was.
They didn't do the work.
Yeah, the guy was reading like this, like today is a nice sunny day, and yesterday I went to the shopping mall. The shopping mall was, you don't have rhythm. You don't know how to do interpretation. The guy didn't know how to do that, but when he speaks, was good.
The fact that you are a native, that doesn't mean that you are a good teacher, because it's a skill. Teaching is a skill in itself. Right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have passion and you don't have the tools to, and if you don't feel like in your inner self you don't have the vocation. I don't know if this is a word in English, but in Spanish we say vocación. If you don't have the vocation to be a teacher, you're not going to be a good teacher, I guess.
Yeah, I forgot this word. It is, you need to feel that you need to feel that you were born to do that. You have you see in your qualities that you have the that the sequence of skills, or the sequence of skills that will be good to that area. I forgot the word now. But be a teacher, you need to explain. This is one thing about being a teacher that sometimes people, they don't get it. You need to explain the same thing in different ways. You need to learn how to explain one thing in different ways, different perspective, a lot of patience and empathy. You need to understand the pain. You need to understand how different.
I have a question for you, Rodrigo.
Go on.
Because you are a teacher,
Shoot.
And you are a student, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
What do you think? It's when a person is trying to learn something, what is the main thing? Who has the most responsibility about their learning? The teacher or the student? Or it's everything about the student. So
Peraí, vamos para os comerciais. Vamos para o vídeo parte 3.